Hi, I'm Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, and I welcome you to my weekly YouTube video and blog where I feature some of the most current products from Stampin' Up! The projects I share here feature current products and vary from simple to more elaborate cards. And I also sell the Stampin' Up! Products I feature in this video, and I hope you enjoy the free tutorial and I would love to have you shop with me. I did a card 2 days ago on the 7th. It also has a video up from my Simply Saturday series, and it's basically the same card, and then I have stepped it up a little bit. So this is the card I made on Saturday, and this is the card I made for today, just stepped up a little bit. And let me show you what we did to step it up and add just a little bit more to the card. So I started with, get my things out of the way there. I started with a basic base card of 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. It makes an A2 greeting card base, and it's going to be a top fold base. Burnish that fold, makes the card stay closed nicely, makes it stand up nicely when you send it. So there's the basic card. Let me get this. You should see the sides of my desk. It's nice and clean on here, but let me tell you, everything's pushed off to the sides, and it's a whole mess out there. Okay, let me get my cheat sheet up so I can make sure I give you all the right dimensions and everything. Okay, so layer 1 is gold foil, and it is cut 4 by 5 1/4, and then I'm telling you what I did because this is a framed design here, and this gold foil is somewhat expensive. I try not to use more of it than I need now to. So you could cut this 4 by 5 1/4 and attach it to the front of the card, but we're going to be covering it up, and I don't like to be wasteful. So what I did is I had a scrap of cardstock, excuse me, trying to sneeze, or trying not to sneeze, a piece of cardstock, and it was, well, let's see, let's measure it so I can tell you. I just took the center out. I had a piece of cardstock, and it's 4 by 3 by 4, and I put it down on here and kind of centered it on the back, and I traced around it, and then I used my Stampin' Trimmer, and I don't know if you've done this before, so I'll show you how I did it. The tracing was on here, and I just set it up here so that the trace line was on the cut line, and it doesn't have to be super exact because I left enough margin that minor variations aren't going to affect the final product. But then you can take this, and there's a little notch here, and you can line it up with where your cut starts and pull it down to where your cut stops, and you can do that on all 4 sides so that you can cut that out. You could also use a straight edge and an X-Acto knife. So there's a couple of different ways you could do it, but that preserved that piece of foil that I can use for other things, and that's going to get attached to the front of the card like this. So let me do that. And it's just got that 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Try to get it on there straight, and there's that. Now it looks a little funny right now, but trust me, it's gonna look better. So then I took my old olive and I cut it 4 by 5 1/4 as well, because I'm going to take it clear out to the edges, and then I used the die from Lasting Elegance dies, and there's this lovely corner design, and you can see one side's longer and one side's shorter, and so I put it on my card and I cut out the first one, And then I took it off of the cutter and turned it around. And the way I got it to line up, I got some washi tape to hold it in place, and I just held it up to the light so I could see that these lines were lining up. And once they were lined up, I put some washi tape on and held it in place and ran it through again, so that I ended up with a continuous thing, and they all lined up, a continuous border, and they all lined up with one another. So that worked out really perfect for me. And again, you could put, a wise thing to do might be to put your double-sided adhesive on the back of this, so that when you take it up, you can just peel it off and stick it down, because glue might be a little tricky to get to stick to this foil. Again, I didn't necessarily do that. I seem to always forget to pull that out of my drawer, but I do have these rolls of tape. This is Score Pal tape. It's a tear tape that you can use. It's double-sided. They have it in all different widths. This is the 1/8 inch width, and then they have 1/4, and they go up from there. And so I am going to put, or I did put, a strip of that 1/8 inch on each of those edges of this piece, so it will hold those down nice and snug to the front of the card. And then in the center, all you need is just a little bit of regular adhesive as well, just for the center. And then this is going to go on there, and it just lines up edge to edge all the way around. Just like that. So there's that. Lovely. Then I cut a piece of the DSP. This is Poinsettia Place Designer Series paper, and I cut this piece 4.5 by 3 1/4. And on my card, I decided to use the detailed trio punch and round these corners. It's going to give some contrast to the front of the card, so everything won't be absolutely square. It'll have some softness to it. So just tuck that in there. You want to get it tucked in really good so you get a nice clean corner. And I'm going to attach that right in the center here. And when I cut this, the corners were kind of coming over the top of these lovely corner designs in my border, and I didn't want that. So rounding it helped resolve that problem as well. And again, this just gets attached with regular adhesive. And you might consider which way you want it to go. I think I'm going to go this way. And we're just centering it on there, and there. There's that. So there's that piece. Now we're going to build the flowers. And I stamped the flowers. This is the smallest of the Poinsettia Petals stamps. And I stamped it with Versamark, and I embossed it with gold. And then I also cut out one of the small embossed and cut flowers out of gold foil as well. And then I am going to bring in a piece of scratch paper, and I was trying to imitate the look on the front of the DSP, where it has a little bit of a brown, soft brown tinge coming out from the center on the flowers. And the set itself has 3 different sizes of petals, and so you can cut out 3 different sizes, and most of the cards you'll see online use those 3 sizes and build a flower with them. I didn't want to get larger because this is on the corner of the card, and I didn't want to cover up this lovely designer series paper, so I just built my flower with 2 of the same size. That's okay. Now I'm using a blending brush. I got a set of these they're actually makeup brushes from Amazon. They were only like $12, and I got a set of like 6 different sizes. And it does come in handy to have different sizes sometimes. And so I'm using this smaller one and soft suede ink, and I'm inking it up, but I want it to be a very soft brown. So I'm dabbing it on and dabbing it off so that I only get a very soft brown coming out from the center of the flowers. And that is good enough. Just very, very soft. It's very soft on here as well. So I wanted to maintain that softness and yet still get a little bit of that. And I'm just coming out from the center. And that looks good there. So that's what I did with the flowers. Hold them up again so maybe you can see the shading on them. Then I put these together, and I put them together with a mini glue dot between them. Oh, and I should curl my petals just a little bit. Where's my bone folder? Give them just a little bit of life. So let's do that. There's that one. You just do it very lightly. You don't have to be too aggressive with that. And then you're going to offset the petals and attach it. And that gives it just a little dimension between the layers. And then this little guy, I also gave it just a little tiny bit of curl. And I attached this one with just a glue dot, just a mini glue dot. Right in the center. And again, offset the petals. And so there's the flower, ready to attach to the front of the card. And I attached the whole flower with my regular dimensional right in the middle, just like that. And I put it down here in this corner, like that. And then I cut a piece of Whisper White. It is 3/4 of an inch wide by 3.5 inches long. I'm going to put a little notch in the end of it. That's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to take and right in what I think is the middle, cut a little tiny snip there, and then come from the corner down to the snip. That gives me my little end. And then I'm going to attach this. I stamped this with the sentiment with Versamark. I embossed it with gold as well, so it gives it just a little bit more bling than on that simpler card, which I just stamped with ink. I'm going to put 3 dimensionals on the back of this. Make sure it's well supported. And then I just tucked that up under the flower a little bit and pressed it in place. So there is my stepped up version with the gold embossing here, the gold flower, gold on this thing, and this beautiful gold border. And it just steps it up just a little bit, makes it a little bit more, but I like, that's the same one. I like both of them. They both are beautiful cards, but just a little bit different. And then I like to do the envelopes, and I do have that. And let me show you that. Again, I just took some of the designer series paper, I turn it over, I put my flap on there and trace around it and cut it out. And then I'm going to attach it to my envelope. And I run the adhesive right on the envelope itself, right on the flap. Let's get a little closer to the edge there. There we go. And there. And then I turn it over and I will attach it. Might be getting some shadows today. It's not daylight. I just happened to wake up at 4 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep and decided to come and do something productive instead of lay there and be discouraged that I couldn't sleep. So I'm doing my... It's dark outside, and it makes a difference when there's no light coming in through my window. So I hope the shadows weren't too awfully bad this morning. And sometimes I need to trim a little because I don't ever cut exactly like I should. And so, but that creates a beautiful flap. So when it comes to the people in the mail, they're getting a smile before they ever open it up and see your beautiful card. So there's my Poinsettia petals. I will put the measurements and dimensions and things in the description below. So thanks for stopping by.